Hey, what is up, guys? It is that boy Vindy, and today I am bringing you an up-and-coming author spotlight. So today, this is a lot of a different video. Obviously, I do gaming, I do comedy, but I feel like this is a very important thing to share because reading is important. So, without further ado, I'm gonna go on to the first question. Would you care
Okay.
to introduce yourself?
All right, so I am Sax JoJo, also known as Josiah Martin. Published my first book, Cup of Cocoa by the Fireplace, short story collection. It's that's about as far as my intro goes. I didn't plan this out at all.
Alright then, okay, so if we could have a brief summary, like in a couple of words, of why people should read your short story collection, what would you give?
How many words am I allotted?
Let's say maximum 10.
I got it in 6. I'm better than your favorite author.
Hey,
Which I guess sounds really cocky, but that's how I
hey,
feel.
you need confidence at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
that's true.
That's something that I see. So, number 3 then. What was the toughest challenge to overcome when writing the collection?
Ooh, okay, so like, initially, I wanted to do 10 short stories, right? And then as I was writing it, I was also procrastinating it. I was also in like a really rough part of my life, so this was kind of like a way to get through my days without having to like really worry about what was actually bothering me. And eventually I was like, you know what, forget 10, I'm gonna do 7 short stories. And so I had them all lined up. I'm here editing them and stuff like that. And then I was just like, I don't really like this one story or this story in there. Like, it feels like it's like cluttering everything up. And then I eventually just settled on 6. So the biggest challenge was just really just figuring out how many short stories I actually wanted to go with, and then like which stories were gonna stay versus the ones that were gonna go.
So in terms of how the procrastination went, and how, the challenges that you encountered, what inspired you to keep moving forwards in terms of this short story collection?
Probably my mom, because I talked to her a lot through all of this. Like, she knows like majority of what like bothers me and stuff like that and what I was going through.
Yeah.
And so I was telling her about it, and she was like, well, you can't keep editing it by yourself. And while I'm sure your friend has good intentions, they're not really working on it to the degree of actually being able to finish it. You got to send it off to an actual editor. And I was like, I don't know, Mom. I'm really nervous. He's like, look, if you don't do it now, you may never do it at all. And I was like, oh. I was like, that's rough. That's a tough one. And I was like, well,
So being supported by family
yeah,
was really what kept you rooted in that.
yeah. Because I probably would have like stopped a while back had they been just like, oh, well, you should just quit anyways. You're not going to be good at it. Things of that nature. Because like sometimes it can be very discouraging as like an author. Because it's like, you want people to read your stuff, but not everyone wants to read your stuff. Not everyone will read your stuff. So it's like, how do I get people to look at what I'm creating and be like interested?
Okay. So in terms of inspiration, what was the biggest inspiration for said short stories?
Well, some of them I had written a while back, so they were already completed. And I was just like, I really like this story, so I'm bringing it in.
Okay.
For other ones, though, it was like, I'd probably say music. I was listening to I would be on SoundCloud and I'd just be SoundCloud surfing, just listening to different instrumentals and stuff like that, finding things that would make good music and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I would just be going off of that. And that's where I found my inspiration.
I mean, that's the thing. Obviously, you guys, I know Josiah, so music's always a big inspiration
Yeah.
for both of us, just in everything. So I can definitely see that was a big inspiration.
Yeah. It like, honestly, I don't know why people don't just utilize music more, because it just has that much power. It could put you in a mood. Like, you could listen to a song and it makes you happy. You could listen to a song and it makes you mad. You can make you sad. Things like that. Like, it's really good if you're like in a writer's block to just listen to some mood music. What is the tone that you're trying to set for that particular part of your story? Find a song that fits with it and listen to it. just be careful not to overindulge in certain ones, like ones that are like sad themes and stuff like that. Otherwise, you might be too sad to actually write. Like, you just want to get in the mood, but not too deep in the mood.
Yeah, you don't want to be too deep in your feelings, but at the same time, you want to be enough in your feelings that you have that inspiration to write.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what made you want to start writing in the first place?
Oh boy, here we're in for a story now. So, this is a fun fact. Growing up, I actually hated reading, like with a burning, fiery passion. Like, and it's very ironic, given that I'm now trying to be an author.
Hey,
that I started off hating reading.
You are an author. You've
Oh, you're
published
right.
your book. You're out there.
Oh shoot! It's no longer trying; it's an actual thing. But yeah, growing up, I hated reading with a burning fiery passion. Mom was like, "Nah, that's not rolling here. Not in this house. You go read." And so she would make me read. And as I was reading books, she was like, "All right, so this is what you're gonna be saying while you're reading. You're gonna say that you love reading." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "You're gonna say it. I'm gonna beat you." I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, it's cool. I'm gonna say it." Because you don't want to get whooped as a child. That's like the worst thing ever. That's almost as bad as.
Look, people are gonna be like, "Yeah, whipping your child ain't right." Hey, I got my ass beat, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and you best believe that made me act straight.
Yeah, man. Like, all right, super side story. So like, I don't remember what I did, but I know that it was bad enough for me to get whooped 7 times and then get put on punishment from TV for an entire year. And my Grammy, she was visiting at the time. She was so mad at like all the things that occurred that she had told my dad that she was gonna like take me back with her to the Bahamas. And my dad was like, "You ain't taking my son nowhere." I was just like, well. But yeah, I was a bad child. But that's beside the point. And so I would be reading, and I eventually came across this book in elementary school called The Supernaturalist by Ian Coffer. I'll talk about it like every single time this question ever comes up, because The Supernaturalist really had a big impact in my life, because it was a fantasy futuristic setting with kind of a dystopian feel, but I didn't know all this at the time, of course, because I'm like elementary school. Who thinks this far ahead? No, you know what I'm saying? But and it just captivated me. It made me actually want to read while in class, while the teacher was talking. I was a bad student.
Hey.
I was the type that would read when I should be listening to the teacher, and I wouldn't care.
Yeah, that's fair. I have a friend like that. But by the way, super side note, as you said, Ian Coffer, I looked up and I have either Ian Coffer or Artemis Fowl opposite me right now on the bookshelf. Now that
book series is lit.
Yeah, you know
if you hadn't read Artemis Fowl, you missing out.
You need
and I think he did it like. He made another book series, and I read the first one of it because they had it in my library, but they didn't have the next set of the series. It makes me really upset. I need to find it. I think it's called like Leviathan or something like that. Like it was. Yeah. Oh my god, that book was lit. My god. So I'm trying to remember. There was one other book I had read. It wasn't by him, but it made me like I want to write books like this. Because all right, again, side story. It starts off slow. The first 2 chapters were really dull, right? But then chapter 3, everything just takes off. And then by the time you're done with the story, you're like, dang, like your mind is blown. Like you're just like, whoa, this is wild. This is crazy. Okay. But getting back to
so,
all these derailing happen. But
that's a lot of
after reading that, I was just like, I want to do that. I want to make stuff where people are so captivated that they actually want to read it, even if they don't actually like reading itself. Like that's what I want to do.
Respect.
And ever since then, I was into writing. Entered like 2 different contests while in elementary school. Got 2nd and 3rd place for them and stuff like that. Like, and I just kept writing ever since then.
Okay, so obviously, without giving away too many spoilers, without giving away too much about the short stories, I'd just like to ask: do you have any personal favorites of the short stories that you have?
I do. Olimar. It's the story that ends the collection. And it's personally my favorite just because of the plot twist, and also because I used to be on this app called Anime Amino, right? And I was part of the writing society. And the Writing Society held a weekly contest called Drawing Conclusions, where they present a picture and you had to make a short story based off the picture. And when I saw it that week, we were like, I was also part of like the moderated group, so I was able to see some of the pictures early and stuff like that, and then we'd also determine judges and whatnot. And if you're a judge, you can't enter the competition, which makes sense, obviously.
Understand.
And I saw the picture for that week, and it was like this dude floating in a spear and some like other dude like approaching him like in casual clothing or whatever, in like this barren wasteland kind of deal with meteors raining down in the background. I was like, oh, I gotta enter this one. And I told my friend, I was like, look, don't enter, don't do it. You don't want to take that L. And she was like, is that a challenge? I was like, no, this is me being a friend and telling you not to do it. Right?
Did they do it?
Oh no, they didn't. They took my warning.
All right.
And they were judging it, and they were like, yo, so I'm glad I didn't actually go against you, because, like, that was actually really good. And I was like, yeah, I kind of warned you. Because I was going for first place, you know? And I wasn't settling until I got that first place.
Look, you're not going to aim anywhere other than first place. Right?
Exactly.
If you aim anywhere other than first place, that's a losing mentality.
Yeah, you always go for first, regardless of what it looks like and regardless of who says they're going to enter and will be against you. Care about that. Sometimes you gotta say that I'm the best out and forget the rest of you, kind of dealio. But like, I was in the booth, Indy. You want to know how hard I was in? I was writing this on paper first before I typed it up. That's how you knew you were in trouble. That's how I knew it was over for.
That's when you know it's hard work. That's some hard work, straight up right there.
Because that means I have to go back and edit it. But the challenging part of it was doing something different that I normally wasn't used to do. Yeah. Because in that sort of scenario, you know, person in a spear, you know, meteors waiting from the background, someone approaching, it's easy to go like super action genre. So I had to take a different approach to it, and then I had to think about how I wanted to end it, because that's really the important part of it. Like when it comes to writing short stories, it's different from writing novels, because you don't have to pack as much information into short stories as you do novels. You can have a plot hole here or there, so long as it's like an excusable one. Yeah. So the really thing to focus on is like, how am I starting it? How am I ending it? Everything else in between is kind of subjective and whatnot.
You see, that's the thing. I'm a novel writer and a poet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Poetry is much like short story writing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a novel, if you don't have that well thought out, you don't have that well planned, it's not gonna go well.
That is true. Yeah.
So anyway, one piece of advice that you could give to aspiring authors such as myself, such as many people who are probably watching this, what would it be?
What would it be? Oof, that's a tough one. I'd probably go with just like keep writing, just do it constantly, like as much as you can. Let it consume your entire being. Like if you're trying to be like serious about it, you want it to consume the entirety of your being. Where like you could go to sleep and you'll be seeing scenes that you're having trouble with, and you kind of work out how the scene plays out in your sleep, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, now I know how that scene works. Like you want it to get to that point, because at that point everything just becomes easier. You're able to visualize the story. You're able to understand like the plot and whatnot a lot better, because you're able to see it more often because you've been doing it more often. I'd also advise to try and be as thorough as you can when it comes to like creating characters, and by that I mean think about their backstory, their history, who are they interacting with, what are they like in like various circumstances. Figure out what they're like when they're in love. That's a fun thing to do. Oh my goodness, because there's just
right. I know how cheesy this sounds, but you have to be the character.
Yeah, you really do. It helps out a lot. You can't think like yourself. I think that's where some people mess up with it when it comes to like creating characters, because they oftentimes base it off themselves. Sometimes you just gotta go off the wall and do something you've never done before in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like I made a character recently where she is like super quiet, but only because she is mute and is also a princess, which I've never done a princess character before, but this one is like, she has my seal of approval, because she's from a ship that doesn't actually exist yet. I can't go into details because that story is in the works and it's gonna be lit. But like her views on the world are much different from what her parents had to go through, because her parents had to go through a lot of hardship to get to where they are by the time she actually comes into existence. And what makes it interesting for me is because I usually don't write characters that are out of some sort of struggle. Usually they have some sort of struggle that they're going on with that helps to develop their character. This one, she's kind of silver spoon a little bit, just a little bit.
Okay.
And it's different from what I'm usually used to, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly.
You have to push the bounds, though. You have to push your barriers as a writer to improve. So
Yeah.
that's that's great.
Don't ever settle. Write every single day.
Alright,
Try
so
and write
that's
something different.
that's
Try
the
and dip
next-
in the genres you're not even comfortable with. I don't like horror, but occasionally I'll try and write something
I
horror-esque.
find it cringy trying to write horror because I myself I don't get scared at horror
Mhm.
movies, horror games, horror books. I don't get scared. So writing something, if I'm not scared writing it, like
Then you're not doing it right.
I don't
Like
feel
if you don't like. All right. So also side tip. If you're trying to write something sad, right, and you do not feel the sadness by the time you are done, you are not doing it right.
mhm.
Because if you do not feel it, other people aren't going to feel it either. If you're writing something and you're wondering if anyone else would be interested in reading it, you have to ask yourself first, would you be interested in reading it?
Facts.
Like, don't try to please the audience, the readers, as much as you're trying to please yourself, because ultimately you have to be the one to sit here and write it all out. And if you're not entertaining yourself in the process, if you're not having fun doing it, if you're just like, oh, I just gotta write another chapter, these characters are doing X, Y, Z, but you're not really having fun with it, you're kind of wasting your time.
Alright, so the first story,
Mm-hmm.
without giving away too many details,
Right?
it touches on some deep topics,
Yeah.
And I personally
Uh-huh.
engaged with that story, and I felt attached to the storyline and the characters.
Yeah.
How difficult was it for you to write something like that?
It was kind of difficult, only because I had to put myself in that mood to write that. Because, like, I remember I was back in my college dorm. This is all occurring at the same span of time. I'm putting the short story together. I needed to take a break from the short stories that I was working on, the 10 that I had at the time that I was eventually going to end up cutting down to 6. This one actually was not one of the original stories I was going to make it on. But then I actually finished it, and I was like, I really like this, so I'm going to add it to the collection
I'm glad
and
you
make
did,
it a story.
by the way.
Yeah. But I was like, I feel like writing something sad, so I'm going to make myself sad and then write while feeling all this weight. And I ended up writing the first half. I took a break for like a month or two because I was stumped after the first sequence of events had occurred. If you know what I'm talking about, where it kind of like cuts off and then transitions into a time skip.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how do I continue from that? Because that was already like a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was already a lot of emotions in that first sequence of events, and it's just like, how do you top that? And so eventually I ended up putting myself back into that sad mood again. I think I just made it worse though. I just put myself into an even sadder state because it's something serious. It's not something lighthearted. That first story.
It's
Anyone's who don't expect a happy ending. I'm saying that right now, right? But like, when how do I say this? Once I let the sadness overtake me, as crazy as that sounds, it made it a lot easier to finish up that sequence, because sadness can sometimes bring on somber feelings.
So
It could bring on reality. You know what I mean?
it's sort of like maybe, when you weren't in that sad state, there was a possibility of a happy ending sort of thing. If you know what I mean, just because
Yeah.
you hadn't put yourself back into that state.
Yeah.
So anything was possible, but that's not the way you wanted the story to go. So you had to.
No, I didn't want the story to end sad. I felt like all things considered, a happy ending was the last thing that should ever occur. And it wasn't so much that I was just like, oh, I'm gonna do this just to break the mold. It felt fitting. I felt like a happy ending was was unrealistic in this kind of scenario. And so I made sure that I was back into a state where the ending would have people like, wow, that's something that could actually happen, you know?
What reception have you got from the book, like in terms of feedback?
In terms of feedback, a lot of people are relatively happy. They're like, wow, that was actually really good. I didn't know you could write that well and whatnot. And I'm just like, thanks, you know? I had a coworker who outright told me he doesn't read, right? He doesn't like reading.
Yeah.
He only bought a book for me because he wanted to support me, because he was like, you the homie. I was like, oh man, thanks man, I appreciate it. And he was like, I started reading like the first like paragraph and I just wanted to keep reading, but we on the clock. And I was like, hey, I appreciate that. And a lot of people see the most reception I got though is like on the first story. Like everyone's enjoyed the entirety of the collection, but everyone's main focus seems to be that first story. And they're like, yo, yeah, they're like, why'd you have it end like that? Like some people are like, you should have had it have a happy ending. And some people are like, you know what, that ending was great. I loved it just how it is.
That's the one that you were gonna leave off the collection.
Yeah, it initially wasn't even gonna make the cut. I was like, do I even want this on there? I was like, yeah, we're gonna put this on there. We're gonna have this the first one. It's whatever.
Alright, so second part of the triple header question. What will you change about the process of creating the collection? Is there any people who you would maybe leave out the creative process, obviously without, you know, shading them or throwing names out there? And would there be anything you would change?
That's a tough one, because literally the only other person that knew about it was my friend, but she was also having different things going on in her life, so it makes sense on why she wasn't able to get to it to edit it like she wanted to, right? Yeah. So like I didn't have a big team going into this. I'm very like exclusive when it comes to my work, mainly because I don't like the idea of people like coming in and be like, oh, you should do XYZ. I don't really like how you did that. I don't care.
When the team's too big, especially if they're not like-minded to you, a lot of the time messages can get mixed. One person will say it's great, one person will say it's terrible. You don't know who to believe. You think it's good, but you need opinion. But
I do need opinion.
You don't need too much influence.
Yeah. Like sometimes, like it's not bad to have people be like, I think you should change XYZ if it's like constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Like something that'll actually help take what you're working on to the next level. But I don't know that many people that write as much as I do, or have like that thirst and drive to like get better as I do. You know what I'm saying?
Understand.
To just create and whatnot. So I can't, as much as I would like to sometimes have a bigger team and whatnot, I need people that like, they have to be able to see the small scale and the big scale simultaneously. Because that's always what I'm looking at when I'm writing. I'm always looking at like the small insignificant details, the little events here and there that are gonna like cause character development that most people won't see initially. But then I'm also thinking broad scope. How is it gonna end? What am I gonna do after it ends? What do I plan to follow up with? Things like that. Like I need that.
All right.
And if you could do both of those, then we're good.
All right. Yep. And finally, right. I don't know if this information is disclosed to the public, so if it isn't, I'll cut it out. But that new short story. What's it called again? Just.
Oh, you mean Us?
Yes, Us. That's the one.
It's not a short story. It's an actual story that I'm working on. Yeah.
So you have a bigger team looking at that, right? You invited me. You invited a couple other people to like look at it, right? You planning? All right. So, what are you planning with that?
What am I planning?
Like,
all right. So I'm just. It's not really a team, more or less, because how I have Us set up is I'm letting you share it with whoever you want to share it with.
So
friends, your family, your worst enemies, you can share it with whoever you want. And essentially, I'm just trying to build like a fan base,
so
really, with that one.
Sort of thing as well.
Like I like Cup of Cocoa by the Fireplace. I like everything about it, and that's gonna bring in fans, yeah. But I feel like I'm working on it, and then be able to like leave comments on what they like and don't like, and me being able to also leave comments myself. To kind of like explain thought processes and be able to answer people and whatnot. I like that a lot.
So what I'm getting from this is interaction is what you want, really.
Yeah,
And also, is it a learning experience sort of thing? Because obviously you've worked with a small team on Cup of Cocoa by the Fireplace.
yeah. I
Now
worked
there's
for
a
a very
big
small team.
people,
That was only
right?
2 people.
Like I'll drop the link to us in the description if you'll allow it. And
Yeah. Go for it.
guys,
I want.
everybody go check it out. It'll act as a big sneak peek to Cup of Cocoa by the Fireplace. Not because it's anything like it, but because you'll get used to his writing style.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's unique. His writing style.
It switches up depending on the characters, which I do like. Some characters think differently, and so as a result, like their train of thought and how they like go about handling situations is different from others, which I try to keep fresh. If you want to be able to comment, though, you have to request that, mainly because I didn't want just any old random person just coming in and just leaving all these comments and stuff, and to be like hateful stuff or something like that. Yeah, and so as of right now, if you just get the link, you'll only have the view only. If you want to be able to leave comments, you have to request it. That way, if you are toxic or something, I could just stop you immediately, and no one has to suffer as a result.
Okay,
So,
now
yeah.
moving on to some of the community's questions.
Right?
First off, my mama wanted a shout out. Okay, but
Wait,
also,
what's your last name? I forgot.
oh,
Shout out Miss MVP. Bought a book immediately as she heard about it. I really do appreciate the support. You the best, always. I gotta come see you in person at some point and like give you a giant hug and be like, thanks.
so she wanted to know
Uh-huh.
what your target audience age was initially and how that
Mhm.
changed or didn't change.
So initially I was trying to target like people around my age, but that was constantly changing because, you know, growing up is an actual thing. And so I eventually just decided, you know what? I want everybody to be able to read my books, from small kids in elementary school to like old people in nursing homes. I want everyone to be able to read it and enjoy it on the same level.
So accessibility was key.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
moving on.
Uh-huh.
Is there a reason for the lack of page numbers in Cup of Cocoa by the Fireplace?
Yeah. So all right. I didn't have a template, right, for the book size that I needed. Had to get it from Amazon. And that was a whole adventure in and of itself. So I get the template, I have it all set up, right? And mind you, I'm using Microsoft Word 2010 for what I'm doing this. So like it's not as like functional as 2016, as we all know.
Yeah.
And at this point, it was a battle just to get the cover art to fit correctly. And I was at a point where I was like, you know what? We're just gonna roll. We just gotta do it. Next book will have page numbers. Yeah, this one, it's just gonna have to deal without it because I didn't like the page numbers that the options available for 2010. Like I wanted to do top right. That's my stick, you know?
Yeah.
But it wasn't giving me that option. It was giving me like middle with some weird symbol underneath it, with either a line or like a squiggly, and I was like, I don't want either of that. I just want it in the top right corner. How hard can that be, Microsoft? Come on now. And it's just like, but I'm old, bruh. What you expect? And I'm like, I guess that's a fair point. I guess that's fair.
Okay.
So, yeah. I had not been for that top right for sure. You guys have had it.
Okay. So is this collection a stepping stone to future goals / ideas?
In terms of like what I plan to do next in my writing, or what?
First off, next in writing.
Mm-hmm.
Second off, as a person, like on how has it affected you on a deeper level? Like has it inspired you to pursue more of your goals? You know, because being an author was one of your goals. You've just dipped your toe into the pool of being an author now. You've got a taste of what that's like. And from how you speak,
it definitely is a stepping stone.
Yeah.
I now have my name out there. It was definitely needed. It was definitely necessary. It makes me feel like I could actually complete an actual novel now. Because up until this point, like I've had several novels that I've worked on, but none of them I've actually finished. I kind of stopped. Like, yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
Alright, you cut out after you said you had novels that you stopped.
Yeah. So I've had plenty of novels that I started and never completed. Like I have a whole archive, if you, and it's pretty bad because some of them are really, really good. right? But I've never actually completed them, I guess because in my mind I couldn't complete them. But completing the short story collection, while it's not a novel, it was kind of like a confidence boost. Like, hey man, you can do it. You just gotta, put your foot out there. You actually have to put in the work and effort. And since then, I've really been like on my job. First with Us, then with this comic series that I'm working on. I'm not drawing it because I can't draw, but I have someone that's willing to draw it for me. And then a collaborative story between me and a friend of mine, which I'm not going to go into too much detail about because that's on the hush.
You gotta build hype. Keep it on the hush. No need to.
It's good. Just know, this person is on the same creative wavelength as me, and I don't say that about a lot of people. Like, there are very few people that I would say, oh yeah, their writing skills on my level. There's very few, because like I said, it's my short story is better than your favorite author. I know that sounds cocky,
Fact.
but it's how I feel. And so for someone else to be on that level, that means they're also better than your author. And if two people that are better than your favorite author get together, oh boy, we about to cause some trouble.
Even if your favorite author's Ian Coffer?
Even if I would love to meet him. That'd be so cool.
Hey.
I hope he doesn't get mad at me saying that I'm better than him.
Hey, you and him are now in the same domain.
I'm now in his realm.
You can do that. So, do you like to get personal with your writing, or do you distance yourself from the characters? Obviously, you get into character, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
Do you write stuff closely related to what you're going through, or stuff completely distanced?
Usually when I'm writing things that I'm going through, it's in a poem, because that's where I feel like I can express what issues and stuff I'm dealing with without having to go too much into details. When it comes to characters and stuff like that, I usually give them their own problems and stuff to deal with, and I just go from there. As I don't want my characters to, at the end of the day, just be like miniature versions of me in some way, shape, form. Like, occasionally they'll have like an aspect of me, but for the most part, they're completely different and have their own problems to deal with.
Okay. So, to wrap this all up, there was this book signing that you had, right?
Yeah.
Can you just explain to people how that went? And
oh my gosh,
enjoyed it, because look, not everybody. Look, I personally know Josiah, so I know this. He has Instagram. He put huge stories up on there telling everyone about it.
Yeah.
I think you guys should hear this.
Okay, so for anyone that's ever considered doing a book signing, just know that you might have varying degrees of success. Just putting that out there. Also, do not get discouraged if things do not go as planned immediately. All right, you gotta keep speaking positive stuff over yourself. You start speaking negative, then things are just gonna go downhill. Remember that. Trust me, it helps out a lot. Because when I did my book signing, it was the day before Father's Day, right? They told us there was going to be like lots of foot traffic, XYZ. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was doing it for 4 hours because, homeboy trying to get paid. And he's also trying to like sell books and whatnot, And so the first hour, that noon hour, it was a rough hour. I'm not even going to lie. Because people were coming in. I was like trying to gain up the confidence to be like, hey, I just put out a book. You want to check it out? Because like, it's really weird to have to pitch your own stuff, because it's like, all right, what am I going to say? How am I going to present it? What can I possibly do that make them say, yeah, I'll pick up a copy of your book, right? And that first hour, I had like a few people that checked out the book, and they're like, okay, that's pretty cool, but I'm not going to buy it.
The turnaround and walking away was the
sign that they weren't going to actually buy my book. And it was rather discouraging, because they would be like, good luck with the book sales and, being an author. And I'm like, hey, thanks. And in my mind, I'm like, that's not going to help me, though. Buy my book. Like,
yeah.
What do you think this is? A charity event? No, I need money. I need funds to continue doing this. Like, come on now.
It's the frustration.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, okay, so you want to support what I'm doing, but not support what I'm doing.
Yeah. Because it's like, when it comes to like pitching a book and they don't know you, everyone's gambling here. in a sense, because I had to think about it. It's like, they don't know who I am. This is the first time they've met me. They don't know if I'm a good writer or not. You know, I know I'm a good writer. I know I'm a phenomenal writer, but they don't know these things. And they have to think about if they want to spend the money to buy my book or just to use it to get like food or something else of that caliber, right?
Yeah.
And so later on in the day, I'm trying to remember the exact, let me hit up my Instagram, because they are the real MVPs of this. I don't know if they'll ever see this interview. I hope that one day they do, though, because shout outs, I think it was the Taylor girls, Taylor gang.
Hey,
Swag.
you never know. They might see this. Let's hope they do.
It's probably on the last picture. Hold on. I'm gonna get the name right. I have to. The Hammett girls. They're the realists. They bought the first book, and they signed the board. They are the realists. Because the mom was like, "Yo, you know, want to check out this book?" And I was like, "Hey." She bought a copy. She signed the board. Her daughter signed the board. We took pictures together. It was great. This was back when I still had my fro, mind you. So that also played a part in my confidence level. Because honestly, I wasn't feeling the most amount of confidence.
Yeah.
Because I had to constantly hear, "Man, you really need to do something with your hair. You really need to do something with your hair." And it's like, I'm trying. I really am. I pick it out and stuff like that. Like, a fro isn't easy to maintain.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's something that people very much so like just miss. You know,
like, you have a lot of hair when one of the teeth from the pick breaks out in your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's when you know you have a lot of hair. But that aside, the day continues. I start picking up in sales. My homeboy Aaron, he had told me he was coming through, right?
Yeah.
But he also told me that he wouldn't be able to come through for a long time because he has work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's fine, man, if you can't come through. It's all good. It's all good. But this boy roll up at the same time that my sister does. And my sister acts like, "Oh, man, you know, I don't know who you are." and my homeboy Aaron standing behind her. He just chilling. I was like, "Oh, my God, he actually pulled up on me. He said he would. He came through." And he got a book. He told me that his GF was there in spirit, but she had already bought a book, so she was already ahead of the curve.
Yeah, you know how it goes.
And by the time I was done, you know, the people I was with, I was at a bookstore. They were so happy. They were like, "Wow, you sold probably the most amount of books out of all the people that have been here to do book signings." I was like, "What? Word?" And she's like, "Yo, if you ever want to do a book signing here again, just call us up. Let us know. You know, we got you." I was like, "Hey, look at that. Look at God."
That was pretty good.
And I played, yeah, because that actually played a big role in it. Like, when I was feeling myself be all discouraged and whatnot, with people like checking within that first hour, people like picking up the book, saying, you know, good luck, but not actually buying the book. I had to keep reminding myself. I was like, God has something good planned for me. God has, like, I had to keep telling myself that, because if I didn't, I knew I was going to fall into negativity and be like, "Man, this was a waste of time. Why did I think this was a good idea? And I'm here for 4 hours. Oh man!" Like, I had to keep telling myself, God has something planned. God has something good for me, and He made things work out to where I had the most sales out of everyone that came out. Like,
you stuck it out, and that's
like,
the thing. You stuck it through, and you ended up getting it, you know, to a point where you can be happy with. It was a successful signing. You met some great people, and you sold books, which is great. Guys, by the way, links to his book will be in the description, as well as the link to us, the novel that he's working on.
Yeah.
Also, his...
I need more people to
YouTube
bug me
channel.
about us.
There's gonna be a bunch of things in the link in the description. Like, he'll send me over anything he wants. So, as the final question, is there anything that you'd just like to say, just to wrap up the interview?
To all the people that stuck around the interview to this point and got to the end, thank you. You know, makes me feel special and cool, even though I'm neither of those things. If you decide to check out the book and pick up a copy, I also appreciate you. I'd sign it if I could, but I don't know where you're at in the world to be able to sign it and send you a copy. fun fact, if you get the physical copy, you get an ebook free. Feel free to send that ebook to a friend so they can check it out too. You know, spread the word like that. We really appreciate it. And if you just want to be cheap, just get the ebook. It's only half of what the full book is cost. I mean, of what the physical print is cost. You know what I'm saying?
And also, guys, if you have Kindle Unlimited, the book's free on Kindle Unlimited.
Oh yeah, it is.
So why not check it out?
Exactly. Steal someone else's Kindle Unlimited. I'm pretty sure you know at least one person that has it. We all have that one friend. That only one friend though. It's never like 2 or 3. It's only one.
Only ever one.
Only ever one. Like, let's see. Who do I know that has Kindle Unlimited? I think my sister has Kindle Unlimited, which is really funny. Because she doesn't read books like that, but I think she has it. I'm gonna go bug her about it. Like, yo, you got Kindle Unlimited? She's bought like 5 copies. In various circumstances. It's pretty funny. But that's probably what I would leave with. Thank you. Follow your dreams. If you're trying to be successful as an author, you gotta let it consume your entire being. Like, don't slack. Don't let what people's opinion of your writing stop you. Because honestly, writing is just a growing development kind of dealio. Like when I first started, like when I looked back on the 2 short stories that I wrote and that I sent into the writing contest when I was in elementary school, they're really bad. Like horrendously, I would never let these ever see the light of day, ever. Kind of bad. And then I look at my writing now, and I'm just like, wow, I have really improved. I have stepped my game up. So like, don't feel bad if your writing starts off rough. Right? You just got to keep going. You just got to keep learning. If you don't have someone that can teach you about like the different storytelling elements of writing, the storytelling elements of writing, I suggest reading as much as you can. Read books that interest you. Don't bother reading books that you don't care about yet, because that'll come in due time. Like, you just have to have the basic fundamentals and just grow from there. Because honestly, I didn't have anyone to teach me how to write stories. I had people to teach me how to write essays, but I don't care about essays, so I'm not going to implore that and like import it into my writing. But I did a lot of reading, and as a result, I learned different things. Like, you don't use periods in dialogue if you're going to end with a period after the statement is over with and stuff like that. Like things like that I learned from reading. So just do it as often as you can. Even if it's just a short little blurb, just let your mind be filled with like imagination and stuff like that. There's no limits when it comes to writing. Like it's limitless. If someone tells you that, hey, your idea sounds like so and so, and you've never heard of it before, don't take it harshly. You know what I'm saying? Some people can only relate what they read to what they've already experienced and or seen before, and that just may be them like associating with it. That's something I'm still working on, not like getting mad at people when they're like, oh man, this reminds me of such and such. Did you get inspiration from that? No, I didn't. Like, at some point, you probably will end up starting to distance yourself from other like people's works and whatnot as far as that goes. But just meantime, between time, read. It's fun. Find you a good story. You know what I'm saying? Find you an author that you could like. If you like the sappy novels, read you a bunch of sappy novels. Don't let anyone try and judge you for that. Instead, you judge them for not reading. You're like, when's the last time you read a book? Oh, 5 years ago? What are you, a pleb? And then you laugh in their face. I need to stop. I'm ridiculous.
Okay, so that was the up-and-coming author spotlight with Josiah Martin. Pick up a copy of Cup of Cocoa by the Fireplace. Link in the description. Obviously, as we said, free on Kindle Unlimited, cheaper on the normal Kindle, and then you can get a physical copy with a free version of the Kindle version. So, check that out.
It's a win-win all around. Thank you for having me, Indy. I appreciate this.
No problem.
This was lots of fun.
And
like,
guys, if you want me to continue doing stuff like this, okay, I need more authors. So for any authors out there who want to shine,
I might know an author for you.
Okay.
I have to read his book though.
Set it up. Set it up. So for any authors who are out there who want it, email me. My email will also be in the description. And this has been the Author Spotlight. See you guys next time.